Hello everybody. I have a little bit of a problem and I'm gonna solve it by throwing money at it like I always do. I have run out of room in my gaming setup for additional systems, and this is early 2020, so there's some new systems on the horizon and I want to have space to put them into. Also, I have a box here of 5 additional systems that are not hooked up yet. So I really need to expand this setup. So that's what this video is going to be about. I'm going to take you through my process of expanding this setup, and hopefully it's entertaining, and let's get to it. So the overall goal is to install 6 new shelves into the setup on the right side, and to get those 6 shelves ready to accept new systems. I'm also going to switch some systems around between various parts of the setup, just a handful of them. Another side mission is I'm going to replace some LED lights that have failed on the existing shelf. To reach these goals, I'm going to remove all the systems on this right part of the setup. I'm going to remove the wires, the LED lights, the shelf liners, and fully disassemble all the shelves. I'm going to buy the necessary components that I need, reassemble the shelves, reinstall the LED lights, and add back the old shelf liners and add new ones. This will be at least a 2-parter because everything I just mentioned is too much to cover in one video. I don't want to put you guys to sleep. I'm going to be playing a lot of music from a lot of different video games in this video. See if you can guess which game the music is from. I'll put the answer on the screen after a minute. Before we get underway, I'll just address 2 common questions I get over and over again. How much is all this stuff worth? And what are these little trays I have underneath the game systems? I have a video for each of those 2 items, and the video link will be in the description. Also in the description, you'll see links to some of the items I use in this setup. So let's start the work. If you haven't seen my setup before, everything is pretty much hooked up and ready to play. That means there's a lot of wiring, and the wiring is held together by Velcro ties and twisty ties. In this part right here, it's kind of hard to see, but I am removing those ties. There are hundreds of them. By the way, you'll see me wearing different shirts in this video, and that's because I did this over several different days. I'm now removing the game systems. I'm placing them in various rooms around the house. And I'm removing the power supply that was at the top of the shelves. Now it's time to remove the LED lights, and those are held together by black twisty ties. I should have never used black ones because they show a little bit too easily, so when I reinstall these, I'll be using a different color twisty tie. Eventually, I'm going to remove every black twisty tie in this room that's holding up the LED lights. There's also a brown sticker backing that I left up on my existing LED lights. This time around, I'm going to be taking that off because the brown shows sometimes and it's just not a good color. I'm going to attempt to remove the adhesive on the back of the lights. I can't really use the adhesive. I have to tie these lights up because there's so many empty gaps on these shelves, and that stickiness will also attract cat fur. Also, there's one strand of lights that isn't working, and I'm going to be replacing those as I do this project. Now, the way these lights are strung up is actually very complex. When it's time to put it back up, I want to put it back up with the same pattern. So I made a drawing of that pattern. So right here I'm vacuuming the shelves because there was a lot of dirt that I previously didn't have access to. And I am removing the shelf liners, and basically there's two different types of shelf liners on every shelf. There's one that makes the shelf more hard, and the other is to keep things from slipping. It's basically like an anti-slip mat. There's one shelf that I have that has reflective insulation on the bottom of it, and that's because I have a heating vent that comes out right into my setup. So the bottommost shelf that's under the TV has that insulation, and what that does is it makes the heat come out the front basically. I just don't want that heat to damage the different systems. You'll see in a few minutes I'm actually going to thicken the size of that insulation just to protect more against the heat. But in all my years using it this way, the heat has never been a problem. I also have this cabinet here that has my Vectrex on top of it, and it has a Virtual Boy and a bunch of handhelds displayed on the inside. I am going to move it out of the way. I'm not sure where it will end up being in the end, but it won't be on this side of the room anymore. And I just wanted to do some self-promotion really quick here. I've been retro gaming for over a decade, and I've posted about 150 videos relating to it. If you're already a subscriber, I suggest clicking the bell because I have big stuff planned for later this year, and I suggest you don't miss it. I've also started posting polls to viewers, asking them to help decide what my next game review should be. There's no Patreon required, it's just posted on my community tab. I have a lot of interesting stuff, so I hope you check it out sometime. So now we're down to the bare bones of the shelf. The basics of how these shelves work is there's these little black things that you put on the rods, and those hold up the shelves. They snap into place basically. And the weight of the shelves kind of holds everything together. So removal involves hitting these shelves upward with a mallet and removing those little black things. So here's me removing one shelf. After I took it off the setup, I thought it would be better if I just removed the black tabs and lowered all the shelves to the floor. And that's what I start doing right here. So now that the shelves are lowered down to the floor, I can remove the 6 rods that are holding everything up. Now it's time to make a little shopping trip. I need 6 new shelves, and luckily on this particular day they were on sale for $70. So they're not cheap. However, if you go to other places, the prices of them can be astronomical for the same exact thing. There's one place called the Container Store that's within walking distance of this Lowe's, and they sell the same type of shelves for like twice as much. The brand name at Lowe's is called Style Selections. They are rated to hold 350 pounds. There's only 5 in a box, so I had to buy an extra shelf all by itself, and that extra shelf is 23 bucks. A little expensive, but it'll be worth it. Let me just show you the shoes that are at the bottom of these rods. There's a little leveler and you can screw and unscrew to adjust the height. The rods I just bought have a smoother shoe, which allows them to slide over the floor more easily. I like that a lot. So here I'm installing an extra layer of insulation to better keep the heat away and to better deflect the warm air that's coming out. I'm using old speaker wire to tie these into place. There'll be a double layer now, so hopefully that keeps even more heat from penetrating the shelves. So now I'm going to start building the shelves. I'm going to build the base of one tower and then the base of the other. Some other low tech that I'm using is I'm creating these little cardboard squares. I'm gonna put those underneath the legs that are in the back of the setup. In the future, this will help me scoot the setup back and forth. It's so far back, and by the time I put everything back on the shelf, the liners, the systems, and everything, you won't hardly notice that there's cardboard underneath some of the legs. These have to be stacked a certain way to get the arrangement that I want. Ahead of time, I made this little diagram of how they should be stacked. And before I start raising the shelves, I just want to take care of one little issue I have in the corner of the room here. The Metroid poster is portrait, but I need a landscape one because since it's a portrait poster, it's going to go behind the setup a little bit, and so the view is going to be obscured. So I'm going to take it down, and I'm going to take down the little Castlevania posters as well, and I'm going to replace it with a Mega Man poster. So I started raising the shelves and putting them into position. And here's what it looks like now. These shelves still need to be fine-tuned and balanced out a little bit. Putting them back up was very tiring, so I'm going to take a little break and play a game. In the next video about this setup, I'm going to finish up everything. I gotta reinstall the LED lights. I have to put the shelf liners back in. I have to hook all the systems back up. That's all going to be a big pain in the butt, but it'll be worth it in the end. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.